This is part 3. First part, you can see it's talking about when my mom's ex comes to the door, banging and trying to break in, and I get scared and get sent to the first hospital. And then part 2 is also where I get sent to the second hospital, where I'm assaulted and battered. I did do other videos on this kind of part, so like how I mentioned in one where one of the security people had actually used me as a stepping stool. They used my leg as a stepping stool to get up from the ground. That was so fun. But I left off where I was trying to wave anybody who could hear me for help, because they had left me in that room without any clocks to see what time it was, or water, anything that I needed, and forgot I was on my period, so they did not leave me with fresh pads, and so I was stuck in that for so many hours. It was quite gross. I wasn't happy at all. Yeah, human rights was just thrown out the window. I might as well just be like an animal in a cage, like laughed at. They did laugh at me, actually. I forgot about that. That's, yeah. It was freezing cold in there because it was winter, so I was shivering. They didn't have any blankets for me. There was a pillowcase, and that was not something that could keep me warm. And so I was freezing, and I was shaky, and I was dehydrated. I don't know if I had hypothermia because nobody bothered to check on me. I probably did, and that's why I was so upset. There's so many times I could have just not made it out for today because of the things they did, how they treated me like that, disregarding my human rights, my health, which is ironic because they're literally in that field. At one point, the male nurse who had hit me called my name when I was crying in the bathroom, and I just feared. That's the best I can explain it. There's that intense fear, hearing his voice after what he did and everything the security people had just done, and it's like I just couldn't catch a break. Once they did finally open the doors to let me out, I asked for water, of course, because I was so thirsty. I felt so sick, and I asked for new pads because, it's so gross. And they told me I couldn't leave that room yet, but they had the door open, and I had told them about the male nurse hitting me and how much pain it was right here, and how whatever they did doing that injection and stuff, it was causing me pain too, and they just told me to wait there. And then after a while, they brought a wheelchair and they had me sit in it, and they wheeled me to the x-ray room, and they took just x-rays. What's really upsetting is once I was out and checked the health records, they didn't say it was because of anything they did. It was stated that I had just come in with complaints, and that it was possibly because of abuse at home that somebody hit me, and it wasn't. It's just so so infuriating and upsetting that nobody wants to take responsibility for anything they did. On the exact same day they had done it. After that, they moved me back to the room I was in where they were asking for blood tests to be done, and it turned out it was a shared room. So there were other people in there. There were 2 other people. It was nerve-wracking because I just wanted to go home so bad, and I kept saying, can I go home? Can I go home? I want to go home. Can you call? And they just kept saying, oh, you're here for rest. You're here for rest. Just take a rest. It's a break. And I was like, I can't. It's so loud here because, like, all the patients, there's, like, one lady screaming a lot, weirdly, about being a pregnant tree. And the nurses weren't treating her very well, and so I was getting upset that the nurses weren't treating this pregnant tree lady very well, and I just wanted to go home, and the TV was so loud, so I was stuck there. The one roommate, she had asked me where I went, because she said that she was so worried for me that they suddenly just took me and I didn't come back for a long time. And I told her they had locked me in that room and hurt me, and what the nurse had done and everything. And she told me about how scary that room is because they threaten her with it for if she doesn't eat correctly. And she was in there for other things, wanting to do things to herself. And at the time, all I can think of is you're threatening somebody who doesn't want to be here by saying, we're gonna make you more miserable. Like, what the hell? So then I felt kind of like obligated to try and help her because I knew how terrifying and abusive they were, and her telling me that made me just think, I don't want her to be held down and hurt, especially just because she's not eating the right amount they want her to. And they gave her stuff she was allergic to. Like, she had told me she was allergic to dairy, and they gave her yogurt and cereal and milk. I was like, oh no. And she said, they told me if I don't eat enough on what they say, they're gonna put me away. And I said, well, then I'll help you eat some. Because I didn't want her to go through any of that. So I helped her so she wouldn't go through the same pain. The funny part is I'm also lactose intolerant. So me eating the yogurt to help her and stuff, it wasn't great for me tummy-wise, but I mean, I did it. And they weren't feeding the girl who thought she was a tree very well either, and she was pregnant, and she had told me that, and how upset they were because she said she needed more nutrition for the baby. And I thought, that's not right. So I told her, well, if they're not feeding you properly, do you want my scrambled eggs? Because I can't have eggs. They make my stomach upset. And so she said, yeah. So I gave them to her, and she was so happy. And it was all around bad impressions, and I knew it wasn't just me going through it. So I felt like obligated to just try to help as much as I could, even though now I know that wasn't my job.